Hi everyone, welcome to another video. I've accumulated a lot of classics over the past couple months or so. This is the year that I am determined to read most, if not all of them, because I've looked over my reading lists over the past couple of years and I really don't read enough classics, even though that's the backbone of literature. And it's something that I have long admired and I've always wanted to read, but I just never get around to it. Today, we're going to be going over the pile of classics that I have accumulated. This is also basically what I'm planning to read in 2025. I'm hoping to get around to all of them in 2025, hopefully. So let's see what we have. Also, just to note that not all of these are like proper classics. Some of them are books that have been, critically acclaimed and lauded and stood the test of time. So let's go through them. So I have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 10 books in this stack, and I think I'm going to start from the bottom. The first book I have is Pablo Neruda's 20 Love Poems and a Song of Despair. This is a collection of pretty straightforward 20 love poems by Pablo Neruda. So he's a Chilean poet. They were first published in Spanish in 1924, and it's just a beautiful collection of love poems, one of his most beloved collections of poetry, and it dives into love in all of its forms. He talks about the body and the sensuality of womankind. So it's actually bilingual. There's one poem on 2 pages and one version is Spanish and the other is English. Pablo Neruda is just the absolute GOAT. He writes masterpieces of love poems, and it's gorgeous. I've come across his work before back in high school, but I never properly started reading any of his works. And so this is the year we're going to change that. But yeah, that's the first book. Very excited. Next, we have Oscar Wilde's complete short fiction. I actually just picked this up yesterday. I got it secondhand online, and it's a little beaten up, but I do like books that have this beaten up quality. Something about it is so enchanting, just reading a book that is not completely perfect and has some character in it. So this is a collection of Oscar Wilde's short fiction. It includes works like Lord Arthur Saville's Crime, The Canterville Ghost, The Modern Millionaire, The Happy Prince, and The Nightingale and the Rose. There are a lot of themes that are supposedly discussed within these stories. So we've got Victorian moral justice, we have society's materialism, which is criticized in The Model Millionaire. There are fairy tales in here, there are ghost stories, there are mysteries, detective stories, and I have admittedly never read any Oscar Wilde, but I did Google a preview of this book, just the first couple pages, to see if I was up for it, and loved his writing style, so I'm excited to pick this up. I like that it's short stories as well, which means that I can take my time and pace it out. So yeah. Okay, moving on to my vintage classics. I've got 3 of these books. I'm gonna start with the one that I purchased first and I still haven't read, which is The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. I know this has been making the rounds because it inspired Manacle, the Dramati fanfiction, but I have always been interested in reading this, and I've tried starting it, but I've never gotten into it. But if you didn't know, The Handmaid's Tale is about a society way into the future where women have been degraded and forced into one role, which is just to breed. I feel like everyone knows what this is by now. I picked this up very long ago, actually, at a secondhand bookshop. I think it might have been not that long ago, but it was maybe over half a year ago now, and I still haven't picked this up just because I knew with the length of it and the themes that are within this book, they're quite dark, and I've never so far been in a mood where I want to read about this. But it is a story that I want to read at some point in my life, and so yeah, I'm hoping this is the year that I get to it. That's also the year of physical books, and I want to get around to reading all my physical books before I move on to buying new ones, because I can slowly feel myself descending into a book buying spiral once more. So yeah, at the very least, I want to get this finished. The next vintage classic I have is The Baron in the Trees by Italo Calvino. So it's really about just a guy who lives amongst these lush trees in sort of a Garden of Eden utopia, and he has a library, spend it in the air. He educates himself on philosophy and mathematics. He has a whole adventure up there in the trees. To be completely honest, I have no idea what this book entails. I don't know. This is the first time I've picked up an Italo Calvino work. I found this when I was browsing a secondhand bookstore online, and I just picked it up because the cover was really pretty and the description seems very lush and vibrant and it just evokes such a calming picture of nature and of being surrounded by nature and greenery. And I love that, you know? I'm just trying to make up for the fact that I live in a city, and so I don't get out into nature, like the countryside, as much as I would like to at all. And so this book is my way of compromising. And I know Italo Calvino is a very renowned writer as well. Okay, so next we have Beloved by Toni Morrison. This book is my latest addition to my vintage collection, and it follows a woman named Sethe who has been enslaved for many years until she finally escapes. But after she escapes, although she is physically free, she is still tormented by her past and her memories of her baby who actually passed away, and there is only one word engraved on her tombstone, which is beloved. This won the Nobel Prize in Literature, and I think it's like a pretty well-known fact now that Toni Morrison is a literary genius. So yeah, again, this is my first ever Toni Morrison. I have never read any of her works. This is the one we've got, and I am very, very keen on picking this up at some point this year. Like, it's about time I read some Toni Morrison, you know? And then I'm breaking it up with a poetry collection. This is called Music for the Dead and Resurrected by Valzina Mort. Poetry collection by Bloomsbury Poetry, and it actually won the International Griffin Poetry Prize. So Music for the Dead and Resurrected illuminates life in the shadows of imperial forces, speaking through familial trauma with grotesque humor, looking with more than the eyes. And she's actually a Belarusian author. This is going to be my first ever book or piece of literature that I read from Belarus. And I like that the style is very interesting. It's got verse, as you would expect from a poetry collection, but it also has some sections written in prose. So I'm very, very interested, and it seems to be about her childhood and her life growing up in a Soviet town, what life was like growing up within political unrest, how that impacted her family, the things that she's seen. I'm excited to read something from a new perspective. Like, I've never read anything Belarusian. See what life is like in other parts of the world, in places that I have never been and maybe will never go. So very excited about this. Okay, we have 4 books left. The next couple things I got are my 2 NYRBs. So the first one I got is Grand Hotel by Vicky Baum. This I found spontaneously browsing online because I wanted some NYRB edition books. A Grand Hotel in the center of 1920s Berlin serves as a microcosm of the modern world in Vicky Baum's celebrated novel. It's about a grand hotel in the midst of 1920s Berlin, and a host of interesting characters comes to stay here. We have Dr. Otterschlag, who is a World War I veteran whose face has been disfigured severely. We also have a ballerina who is fighting a losing battle, not so much against age as against her fear of it. We also have Geigern, a sleek professional thief. We also have the director of a family firm that isn't as thriving as it may appear. There's a lot of very interesting characters, interesting in terms of their occupation, but also in terms of the secrets that they are harboring. I really love novels like this where the setting is very closed. All these different characters from different walks of life have to interact in this very closed space. It's giving Hercule Poirot. It's giving Gentleman in Moscow with the hotel. It's delicious and disturbing, and I love this cover art. It's so gorgeous. Aptly named A Street in Berlin by George Gross. And the next NYRB I got is Count Dorgel's Ball. This is by Raymond Radiguet, and it's a slimmer volume than the previous one. So it's about Count Dorgel, who is a picture-perfect aristocrat, and he has a wife, the Countess, who is also a picture-perfect aristocrat. But then they actually go to the circus, and they meet a man called Francois. The web of secrets and lies starts to unfold, and then Count Dorgel throws a ball. And at this ball, all of these webs of lies and deception and desires of the human heart come to life. I don't know, I love a good masquerade setting, a ball setting of secrets and lies. It just sounds completely up my alley. I love it. I'm almost savoring this. I don't want to finish, like, I don't want to start it because once I do, I'm going to finish it and then that's that. And I won't be able to have the pleasure of getting to read this. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that's that. The last couple books. We have This Side of Paradise by F. Scott Fitzgerald. And this is also one that I picked up very secondhand. As you can see, the pages are pretty yellowed. And oh, I don't know why there's like it's like tanned. Like that side is way more yellowed than this half. So I don't know what happened to it, but this is F. Scott Fitzgerald's debut novel. I have also never read any Fitzgerald, not even The Great Gatsby. It's going to be my very first one, which I'm very excited for. This follows Amory Blaine, who is a self-centered, wealthy, privileged Princeton student, and it follows his journey at Princeton, and then after, and then when World War One hits, we see how his life changes as well. And it's described as, you know, the dawn of a new generation. When the First World War hit, that was the first colossal human catastrophe on a global scale of mass deaths and all that. You know, he was part of that generation, Amory Blaine, and we see how his worldview shifts and changes. I thought that it would be great to start off my Fitzgerald journey with his very first novel. I love like exploring one character from the start and their journey, but I also need books to have a plot, so this looks very promising. And the last book I have, which I've actually, okay, ironically, this is the one that I have started reading. I haven't picked up any of the other ones except for this one, but it's Breakfast at Tiffany's by Truman Capote. I didn't realize while I was reading this that it actually includes some other stories as well. Breakfast at Tiffany's, House of Flowers, A Diamond Guitar, and A Christmas Memory. So it's 4 stories in one, but yeah, I think the whole world is familiar with Audrey Hepburn as Holly Golightly, but Breakfast at Tiffany's is about, well, the narrator is a man who lives in this New York brownstone, and he is neighbors with Holly Golightly. So she lives in the apartment below him, I believe, or above him. Forgot, but she lives in the same building as him, and the way that they meet at first is she keeps ringing his buzzer to let her into the apartment because she keeps forgetting her keys. And yeah, she's a very free-spirited, this lively, flitting here and there sort of character. I watched a movie for this a long time ago in high school, but I feel like I want to revisit it as an adult because I don't think my brain was fully formed when I first watched that movie, so I probably missed a lot of the nuances. But yeah, Holly Golightly just wants to find a place like Tiffany's that makes her feel at home. I am in the middle of reading this, 18 pages in. I like it. It has that magical quality to it that I remember from the movie, and I'm excited to just delve deeper into this world of old New York. So yeah, that is it. That is all the books I've got. I'm so excited. I don't know if I'll actually get around to reading. I hope to get to reading this the rest of the year because I need to start reading more classics. It just needs to happen. I already have a great pile right here. I also have another pile of books that were secondhand that I haven't gotten around to as well, but that's another story for another time. Let me know if any of these are on your list or if I've given you some recommendations or if you've read these. I would love to know what you think. But yeah, I'll keep you posted as well on the vlogs if I get to read any of these, but I am determined to, for real, because I always say that I want to read these classics, and look at the authors in here. Like, there's so many amazing ones that I have not yet read. So that's it. You'll see you guys in the next one, and you'll get to see if I actually get to read these or not. Okay, see you in the next one.